Hello there, Todd Bowman here. I wanted to give you what a student's first bass lesson would be as an instructor. For those of you who are beginners, that have never played the instrument before, or maybe you haven't played very long, this lesson might be of some use to you. When we first start to play the bass, what we need to do is understand the very commonalities. The first thing we need to do is look at our strings, get to know our strings. So we start with the first string, which is the G string, which is the highest one. Excuse me. Now this string is known as the first string. That's G. And then we go to our next string, the second string, which is our D string. D string. We look at our third string, which is A. And then we look at our fourth string, which is E. And so when we know that, then we can take a look at the other aspects of learning our strings. Learning our strings takes us to learning our notation. So what do I mean by notation? Let me give you this graph. Now this graph here will outline actually let me get that up to the camera right. There we go. This is what we call a fretboard chart. Now, as you can see where it says, let me get that better for us. There we go. Where it says 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's down here on this side. Oops. There we go, right there. Right on this side, where it says E is the fourth string, A is the third, D is the second, and G is the first. Now, take a look at how the notes go. Let's take our fourth string, for example. Look at where it says E, at that circle right there on this side, right there. Right, I got my finger over the 4 now. See that? Okay. We look at that, and that is E. And then we go to F, and F sharp and G. Now, I'll be glad to bring up that chart again here in a few moments. And you can always press pause, take a look at it, write it down, you know, if you need to, that type of thing. So when we look at the fourth string, which is E, we hit that here. Let me get some light onto that. There we go. And that's just this, you know, open string here, the lowest one. We saw that our next note is F, which would be right there on the first fret. Now that takes us back to the chart. Excuse me, must have a cold or something going. There we go. Now when we bring this chart up and we look here where it says E, and we see F right there, that's our first fret. Now you see where it says open, that means the string is, you don't have to press anything down. And then we have first fret, second fret, third fret, and so on. Now there are only 12 notes in music. 8 natural notes, 4 of those would be the sharps and flats. And that helps us understand the notation of the strings a bit better. So we have E, have F, we have F sharp, and then we have G. Now that's just using the fourth string as an example. But that's how we learn the fretboard. So with understanding that, now you'll have to memorize that, and it'll take time. Just practice it. I would just, when I first learned the notes, I was just going over them. I would just play them just like this. You know, just going one after the other. And just getting familiar with where the notes are. So, and like I said, you can always pause, you know, the video and take a good look at the chord chart anytime you're practicing. And you can do the same procedure on the other three strings too. For example, if we start with our first string, it would be G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. So you kind of will get familiar with the order that the notes go into. Now, the other thing I think that we should take a look at when you are a new bass player, you've never played before, or you haven't played very long, the next thing we need to do is we got to get our hands able to move the strings in the way that we need our hands to move to play. Because one of the biggest things I think that deters people from playing bass is that it's a big, gaudy instrument that's hard to wield. I think that's one of its greatest challenges. It is not a small instrument. And what that means is because of that, it takes a lot of strength to play a bass. If you're doing something technical, fancy, or just maybe the piece of music is just simply difficult by its own creation, you know, just naturally difficult to play at that moment. I bet that's what makes bass very challenging. It takes a lot of strength to play bass. So what we need to do is increase the strength in our hands, in our metatarsals, metacarpals, whatever. So in order to do that, now before we go into the exercises, know this: because the bass is a strength instrument, sometimes hands can develop some tendonitis, maybe even some carpal tunnel. I've had it in this hand. So when I give you these exercises are to help that and help you prevent it. However, you don't want to overdo it. You could still get carpal tunnel if you're one of those dedicated players that push yourself too hard. Don't push yourself too hard. It's not worth it. So let's learn how to play the bass and use strength safely to reduce the likelihood of any hand issues because of that. So we look at the hand. You want to put your hand up, you want to put your wrist back. One of the things that will help you is a little exercise called isometrics. Start with the left hand first. You want to take your finger down, keep your wrist back. There we go. And put that finger down at the half knuckle there, the joint. There we go. Keep it down about 10 seconds or so. You can just feel that little working, you know, kind of like an exercise feeling in the hand. And that's what you should be feeling. That lets you know you're doing it correctly. You lift it back up after 10 seconds. And then you go to the next one. You hold it down the same amount of time. Keep your wrist back. Because anybody can bend their fingers, you know, if you don't keep your wrist back. Duh. But keeping the wrist back is the challenge. Then you go to the next one. And then you go to your pinky. Now, just when you think that might be all there is, no. After that, we want to do it in twos. Holding it down for the same amount of time, keeping the wrist back. Now, it looks easy. try to do it. It's difficult. You'll feel that pull of exercise. Talk about no pain, no gain. The fine example of that. So, and then we have, it gets even more interesting. These will help your wrist and your hand be stronger so that you can press down on the notes better, so that if you have to do a passage or a fast riff, you do it more precisely with more strength that you need to wield the instrument properly. And so those are isometrics. Now you do those on the left and right hand. Now those are isometrics off of the instrument. Here is an example of isometrics on the instrument. Now, I learned this from guitar player Sean Allen like decades ago. It's been very valuable to me. So starting on the first fret of your fourth string, which is E, that's the E string. Because the name of the strings, E, A, D, and G strings, those are not just names, those are actually notes. Yeah, so if you play the E string, you've also played a note. Okay. So now we're going to do, starting with 2 fingers here, just your first and second, we're going to go like this, and I'm going to home in on this passage so you can see exactly how it is done. Okay, we're going to go. Oh, and on the right hand, you want to use your 2 fingers on your right hand and go like this. First finger, oops, first finger, second finger. Alternate them. Alternate them. And you want to try to keep that in mind, okay? So as we play this, just remember, first finger, second finger. Okay, so that's what I'm doing down here, is I'm going, you see that? You see, as I continually play the note, I'm alternating. I'm not just going, or you want to do it like that. You want to alternate. There we go. Notice how my finger position is around the pickups here. I'm not too far up in my fingers, or not too far back. Right in this area here is where you want to play. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what you're going to be doing on the right side. Now for the left side, we're really homing in because I want you to be able to clearly see what's going on here. We're going like that, go. So it's just 4 notes. 2 of them right here on the E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember to alternate your big fingers on your right hand. Okay, now you also want to aim your finger for the center of the fret. See that? You don't want to be like that or too far like that. You want to aim for the center. That's where the note sounds the best. You can get it to sound much better when you aim for the center of the fret. Now we're not finished. We have to go to these 2 fingers, and we're going to play with these 2 fingers the exact same thing. We're going to go. It's the exact same notes. The notes are actually F, F sharp, A sharp, and B. So when you look at the sheet that I showed earlier on the screen, you'll notice where it shows these notes in those positions, in those places on the bass. So you're going to play the same thing. And as if it wasn't fun enough, now we're going to do the pinky and the ring finger, these 2. And we're going to play The same thing. That's the challenge. Even me, you heard a slight fret out there. These fingers are used to assisting, but they're not used to running the show. Notice how it's hard for me to aim for the center of the fret, too. Maybe I need to spend some time with these two fingers. So you can see. Look at that, still fretting out. But it will help you. It will help you become more accurate with all four of your fingers. So when you get it proficient enough, you want to go. See how I switch his fingers? See that? So those are the things you want to work on when you are first beginning to play the bass. Get familiar with your strings. That's number one, E, A, D, and G. Second thing you want to do is you want to watch your position of the right hand. Alternate your finger. First, first, second, first, second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep them alternating. And then, third thing is you want to do your off the instrument isometrics. Go back and pause the video, take a look at the finger exercises, that type of thing. And then do them off the instrument and on the instrument. Those are the three things that I would recommend that you start first in order to have the tools that you need to begin to play music. Practice it. That's the key to it. If you do it just one time, you think you're going to walk over to the instrument and get somewhere, you're incorrect. Do it over and over. Beware of the off the instrument exercises. Don't do them too much. Don't give yourself tendonitis or carpal tunnel. So don't push yourself too hard. I know when you're an upcoming player, it's easy to go, oh, I want that strength. I demand that. I'm after that. I'm hungry for that. But you could hurt yourself. So be advised. So do your exercises. Don't push too hard. Memorize your fretboard. Watch your position. And before you know it, it will begin to get easier. And then it will begin to get more natural. I'm Todd Bowman. You have a great holiday season. Take care.